Today, I just want to talk about LGBTQ. I think everybody knows what LGBTQ mean because it has been an international issue that actually has been stipulated here and here, and the speculations around the world is full of LGBTQ. L means for lesbianism. G means for gayism. B stands for bisexualism. T stands for transgenderism. And the Q stands for queerism. When we talk of LGBTQ, in other words, we need to talk about sex. Because LGBTQ is actually all about sex. And before we tackle the subject matter, LGBTQ, we must first of all talk about sex and see how this one come, the relationship between this and that. And from there, we shall actually have now the subject matter really understood. Everybody knows what it means when we say sex. Sex is a natural instinct that everybody is created with. Nobody can claim to be free from sexual instincts. Sexual instincts are fired. An impulse is fired by the sexual instincts and it affects the body and the mind. Nobody can claim that is not sexually oriented. Everybody is sexually oriented. It's a natural phenomenon. The impulse that is fired by this sexual instinct is very strong. It is very strong by the fact that actually when other people come to reach to a point of that impulse fired, become crazy. They become crazy because they find that the body is affected, the mind is affected, and if not well guarded, some people even do not have the capacity to control that crave or urge. It is very strong and it has a force of its own. That is why sometimes you find people have been jailed because of sexually related criminal offenses like rape, like child abuse, and even child development. People have been accused of that. Why? Because they just find themselves that they cannot contain the crave, the urge, which has been fired by the instincts of sex. The body becomes heated and hot, and the mind becomes confused until somebody goes out to rape or to child abuse or child development, anything of that kind. So therefore, it is something that when we talk about it, we must be very serious. It's not something that somebody can take it lightly like that. There was a woman elsewhere who was saying, oh, my daughter is a queen. She's a master of her own body. She's able to control her sexual craves. And therefore, I know she cannot do anything. She's a queen. She's holy. It is because that woman doesn't understand the reality of matters when it comes to sex and sexually fired instincts. And therefore, the question of LGBTQ comes because of all these things we have spoken about concerning sex and the impulses that are fired naturally which creates in somebody a sense of feeling that he wants to have sex, and or somebody starts to feel sexually oriented, and they now draws schemes on how to satisfy that crave and reach to a balanced level homostat. When we talk about that, when we talk of it, we must be very much serious about it, because our children have been confused because most of them have not been guarded properly and given proper education concerning this thing. And I now want to talk about nature and sex. I want to talk about reason and sex. Nature provides that we have two gender differences. A woman who is a female and feminine, and we also have a man who is a male and masculine. That is how nature provides. A man who has been provided by nature, when he is born, at the day of birth, he is seen to be a man when he is born with a penis and two testicles. That baby, people now begin to identify him as a boy who will grow up and become a man. And after becoming a man, he's known to be masculine. You find him coming up, growing a beard. He grows muscles, becomes strong and energetic, and his pelvic regions are not widened, are just straight like this, just unlike that one of a woman. And nature provides that when a baby girl is born, she must first of all be identified that she's a girl when she has a hollow tube known as the vagina. And the reason also provides that this baby who has been born with a hollow tube known as a vagina is a girl. And this girl, when she's grown up, she becomes a woman, grows her hair, she protrudes her breasts, she enlarges the loins, the pelvic regions get enlarged, the arms are small, the feet are small when you just compare them with the opposite counterpart, man or male. That is how nature provides. So therefore, in this sense, when we just look upon this, nature does not provide for equality here. Well, we have had people say there is gender equality, there is this thing here and there. You cannot limit a woman to this work or to this end. You cannot limit man to this work, to this end. Yes, it's okay. But there are things that nature provides in a man that this same nature does not provide in a woman. There are those things that nature provides in a woman, but they are never provided to a man by that same nature. And if you want to know that even reason provides that there is no gender equality between man and woman, no gender equality. Why? Look at the sports. You will see that in football, women play by women alone. Men play by men alone. In athletics, you find 10,000 kilometers. Men run their own race. Women also run their own race. Whoever comes first in the woman, she's called a winner among women. And whoever comes first in men, then he is called a winner among men. Actually, this shows that nature and the reason does not provide for gender equality. All these things are different. We were talking about sex, and we want to see how nature provides for sex. In fact, reason and nature goes together when it comes to matters of gender issues, to matters of sex, and other issues related to sex. Nature provides that nothing else can be excited sexually except the penis. Nature provides that nothing else can be excited sexually except the vagina. Therefore, the two things, the penis and the vagina, if they meet together and do the shaking whatever, they excite themselves sexually and they satisfy one another sexually, and the sex desire which is in the body and in the mind becomes to an equilibrium level. Homostat. That is how nature provides for sex. Initially, from the beginnings, reason also provided the same way. Nature provides that when the vagina and the penis are on the process of sexual satisfaction, they produce a child. A baby is born. When this baby is born, the baby keeps on passing a generation from one generation to another. So the purpose of sex, according to nature, is to pass on generation. And the other purpose is to unite the two, the vagina and the penis. The man is fully excited. The woman is fully excited. And these things, when done nicely, they are very sensational and very beautiful, very extremely good. And it joins the two people together in a marriage bond. That is how nature provides for sex. So we have seen that actually nature provides two gender differences. Nature provides that the two gender differences are absolutely different in reproduction organs. And each reproduction organ is satisfied sexually with the other. And therefore, that is how nature provides. And reason also provides that way. Okay, let us have a look at this point here. We have already said that actually sexual instincts, when they fire an impulse for sex, it brings to the body an satisfaction, and the mind is not satisfied when those urges are brought into the body and into the mind through sexual instincts and the impulses that are fired towards the body and mind. And that is the reason you find a child. And what we have to know is that a child begins to have little sex interests when he's at the age of 7. And between the age of 7 and 14, the child gets to develop, and the sex interests also get to develop. As they do that, they mature and they become strong enough to the body and to the mind. And that's when a child begins to ask questions. What is happening to my body? What is happening to my body? A girl begins to ask. The boy begins to ask, what is happening to my body? Because those impulses, as they are fired by natural instinct, the child may not know where they come from. And that is when he tries to ask some questions. What is happening? And those people who are near to the child tries to teach the child what is happening towards his body or her body. And you find even grown-up people who are married, they teach those children what is happening. You may find even a woman training a young child how to play sex because of those impulses. Even men who are married, they train boys. And sometimes you find that as they train them, they make them sexually oriented, man and man. The boy finds that the crave and the urge is absolutely uncontrollable. And the boy, actually when he's told, now this is what you're supposed to do, a penis and an anus, if he finds that there is sexual dissatisfaction here, he will be doing it. He will be doing it. And a young girl also has been taught by a grown-up and mature woman who is married. When she also finds that there is sexual satisfaction with this homosexual thing, the child is satisfied. And you find that children are trained in that way without knowing, and they find that the urges that have been introduced in their bodies sexually, they are satisfied in this way, and they keep it a secret. Continue doing it until the indulgence becomes an addiction. And now when a child is addicted, he reaches a point of no return. The child now becomes uncontrollable and unruly when it comes to this issue. This is a time when parents and teachers, when social workers and counselors must employ their techniques and strategies to help this situation by training, teaching, and even making exposed to the children what is happening, which is good and which is not good. Then the children keep on learning and knowing. And it's a time when children have to be taught exactly what way can they pursue to control the matter. If a child is not trained and taught about this thing, he's only trained by those people who keep on telling them that you have to satisfy your sexual indulgence by this method, by this way. And the child gets knowing that, keeps on with that, and by an addiction when a child reaches a point where he or she cannot reverse the character or behavior. And that is how lesbianism begin, that is how gayism begin, and that is how bisexuals begin, and that is how transgenderism begin, and that is how queerism begin. Ladies and gentlemen, there is one thing I fail to understand. If nature provides no gender equality, if reason provides no gender equality, I wonder where this gender equality comes from and is enacted in the constitutions of the nations of the world. I don't understand. For example, reason has provided that if you attack sex and deviate sex to a different channel, then you have already attacked the family, the home. And when you attack the home, you have already attacked the society. And if you attack the society, you are attacking the nation. If you attack the nation, you are attacking the world. Who are you? Do you have that power? Do you have that authority? There is God in heaven who who created man and created nature and reason, is the one who is able to do anything. And the way he has dictated nature, that is how it should be done. Nobody who can go against the laws of nature and promise to succeed or achieve his goals. Even the scientists who go up sky to the other planets, to the moon, those astronauts and astronomers, they will never succeed or achieve their goals if they can go against the laws of nature. I'm wondering that nations have passed laws to say that LGBTQ is necessary to our children and our young men. I wonder, those laws are very, very, very repugnant. And sometimes they have been forcing some countries, like our country in Africa, countries of Africa, that we should allow our children and pass laws that actually agree same-gender marriage. And sometimes a boy who was identified by reason that he was a boy because he was born with a penis and 2 testicles. And this boy, reason provides that when he grows up, he will have the beard, he will build the muscles, and he will be masculine, a man. That once upon a time, he comes to a point and say, no, henceforth from today, though I was identified to be a boy from the day of birth or the date of birth, today I want to be a woman. I want to be a girl. What is that? And that the laws of nations provide that if somebody has come to a point where he wants to be a woman, though he was identified from the date of birth that he was a man or a boy, that he should be allowed to do so. That is madness. That is crazy. Do you want to tell me that that man who has decided to call himself a woman shall stop to grow beard? You want to tell me that he will have a soft body like a woman and protrude breasts and have a vagina? It is quite repugnant, unreasonable, crazy and madness. What about a woman? There are women, a child who was identified from the date of birth that she's a girl because she was born with a vagina, and she's grown up, she has the breasts, she has the loins exposed, she has small hands and small feet, that she wants to say that once upon a time I was a girl, but now I want to become a boy and I want to become a man. And the laws of nations say now that person is allowed to do that because he has accepted like so. You want to tell me that this girl is going to change the laws of nature? That the breasts will never be there? That she will have the beard? That she will have the penis? When nations of the West, the United States of America being paramount, and Britain and other countries in Europe, when they try to force people in Africa and in Asia that they should have laws to accept these stupid things, that is threatening our conscience. I have seen something, a pepper is white, and somebody else comes to tell me that this pepper is not white, it's black. My eyes tells me the pepper is white. My thinking, my reason tells me that the pepper is white. And somebody else comes to tells me that this pepper is black. That is threatening my conscience. And this is what the nations from the West are doing to nations in Africa. It has remained that God must intervene in this situation. I call upon parents and teachers in Africa. I call upon counselors and social workers in Africa that you should know a time when a child must be trained to have self-control in matters of sex and sexuality. If these children are guarded well and are not left to wolves who teach them about these bad habits, the children will know and learn how to control themselves and maintain themselves, keep themselves up, wait until they get married, and then start to give themselves sexual satisfaction. And that is the only way we can help our children. Unless parents and teachers, we take caution on this line, unless the social workers and counselors think about this point and look for strategies and ways to provide security and protection to these young children, so that they may not meet these peoples who have been employed all over in Africa, bringing money from overseas, from those countries and nations, that they should come and teach our children how to play homosexual. We should look for specific strategies to control these affairs because we are human beings. We cannot allow our children to practice such stupid things, destroying homes and families, destroying societies, destroying nations, and destroying the world. I've discussed about threatening concerns when a law is provided by the Constitution to go against the laws of nature and against reason, then that law is a medium of threatening concerns. And if a human being is threatened, his conscience is threatened, he ceases to be a human being. Because he is told that his thinking and the perception of nature and the things should not be normal, should not be human, should be even like those ones of wild beasts who cannot question what and what. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to be careful. We cannot be pushed into such things because laws of nations, so-called human rights, so-called liberties and freedoms of people. These things you call liberties, freedoms, and human rights do not provide for reason and do not provide for nature. Absolutely, nature and the reason is against those laws of liberty, those laws of freedom, those laws of human rights. And even my Bible tells me, Jesus told the people of his time that if I will make you free, you shall be free indeed. And the West are also telling people in the world that we want to make you free, and you shall be free indeed, when they are spreading wickedness. Wickedness all over has been spread throughout the world. We have seen even the Christian churches, people and women walking naked. In the question on these matters of liberties, freedoms, and human rights. Women dancing in church, saying that they want to praise God when they are absolutely naked, and after here they go out to commit adultery and fornication and homosexual. In the pretense of liberties, freedoms, and human rights. It is absolute wickedness all over the world. And when the Bible speaks about these things, it says that when God shall remember what is happening down here, he will come down to see and he will destroy. So those people are practicing this wickedness. When you see even these laws of liberty allowing our children to smoke opium just like that without being restricted through these things of liberties, freedoms, and whatever, it's very wrong. The Lord says, I'll come down to see and I will destroy. So those who pass such laws, however rich, however powerful they are, they will be softened only for killing and murder.